Since the day I heard about these pilgrims, these courageous adventurers who felt called to the Camino, I've been fascinated by their lives and their stories. The Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, is a network of routes across Spain and Europe, which all lead to the shrine of the Apostle St. James the Great in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela in Spain, known as one of the most important Christian pilgrimages during the Middle Ages. Nearly 200,000 pilgrims trek the Camino annually on foot and by bike. Each carries just a backpack of essentials, including, most importantly, hope. Hope that the journey will be complete, whether it's for themselves, for others, or for a great cause. I knew the challenge of the Camino takes a lot of dedication and commitment, but more importantly, I wanted to know the reason behind each pilgrim's journey. At the same time, I hope to experience the beauty of Spain, its people and culture. So my motivations were twofold: to make a documentary and to go on an adventure. I honestly had no idea what to expect. I didn't know the stakes, but that incredible uncertainty of it all is what makes the journey mysterious and magical. Armed with just my camera and a backpack, I left Dallas, Texas and ventured to Madrid. I made my way to where the pilgrimage started in Saint John Pied de Port in southern France. I crave a challenge, so I opted to trek the French Way, which is a 500-mile hike. It's a staggeringly difficult physical feat. It's not for everyone. Pilgrims rough the rugged terrain of the Pyrenees Mountains through intense heat, blistering cold temperatures, torrential rain, lightning storms, and utter exhaustion. Day one was very exciting, but also one of the most challenging hikes. My body was getting acclimated to the weather, the high altitude and time zone differences, so it was physically exhausting and mentally draining. Slowly, as the journey continued, things shifted for me internally, psychologically. Though the physical challenges were still there, I became less absorbed in them as I met fellow pilgrims on the way. Learning about the pilgrims and their stories gave me strength. I started appreciating the experience, and hearing their stories was quite revealing. Here are some of those stories.
Because what happens is you start on a day, and then other people are starting the same day as you, maybe ahead a day before and a day behind. And it becomes slowly a moving community of people that get to know each other. And that community is what makes the Camino. Everyone respects each other, you share meals with each other, you share your journey. And you know, a lot of people come on a Camino, and I know a lot of people come looking for something, but I don't think you need to look for anything. I think you'll find a lot about yourself if you walk 500 miles. You have plenty of time to think.
Someone told me the Camino will provide you with what you need. So you may come expecting something or wanting something out of it, but you really get to know what you really need when you're here. Even just the simplest things, like when you pack your bag, you pack it with all the things that you think you need. And then you get here, and sometimes you realize when you're walking, this is just extra weight. I don't need this in my life. So you send it away or you throw it out because it's not necessary. And I feel like that's how we all emotionally go through this too, is we figure out what we really need and what we can kind of get rid of in our lives. So it's a great cleansing experience.
And then the biggest reason is, I'm gonna get a little teary-eyed.
It's okay.
My nephew has Lee's disease and Lee's disease. So, sorry, I found that out this year. So I'm kind of doing this for him. Because he's still alive, but they gave him about a year and a half.
I'm sorry to hear
No, it's
that.
okay.
Okay. So you're doing this for him?
I'm doing it for him. I
Okay.
just also to clear my own head. Like
Yeah.
it was too much stuff going on at one
Yeah.
time.
This is a 90-bed dormitory, one big room, all bunk beds, and everybody who comes here sleeps here. Pain and suffering are two different things. Everybody experiences pain, you don't have to suffer it. And this was, at least for 3 of the 4 weeks of the original Camino, I was walking in pain because my knees and my feet really hurt, and it didn't matter. There was no suffering. I went slow. I loved it. It was just the happiest time of my life, even though when I got home, it took me several weeks to get back to my usual routine of running and all the things I do because my knees were sore. I learned a lesson.
Okay.
One of the lessons was, you can have pain without suffering. The other lesson was, my identity is not the stuff in my backpack. So after a while, I started sending my pack ahead.
So hectic, and I've had so much bad news this year with my nephew. And it's just getting to a point where it's hard to kind of put everything into perspective. And so I think for me, this is all about housekeeping, like really coming to terms with what's happening in my life and then figuring out how to move forward from that.
I'd say everyone needs to do a Camino because everyone needs that time of reflection, time with nature, time with themselves, and time with others that genuinely care about themselves, and just the journey that everyone's going through. Everyone's in this together. It's just one of those things everyone has to do. It's just the way.
If you have a little sprinkling part in yourself of doing something, just do it then. There's once in a lifetime you can do things, and if you have a little sparkling, I don't know if it's correct American, but if there is a little thing in you that says I want to do it, well,
Then
just do it. Go.
It's not just a religious pilgrimage. Of course, it's associated because it is a religious pilgrimage. But many people do it for many reasons. But if you want a challenge, certainly later in life, then this is very doable. 6 weeks of a pack on your back, leave your kids behind. It's a wonderful experience, and it does change you. It does change you. You do find an awful lot about yourself.
Okay.
It's extremely rewarding to do. So for me, if you're looking for a challenge in life,
This is it.
this is it.
Hearing these pilgrims' stories, I really admired their motivations, their extremely personal reasons for exploring the Camino. Their stories made me reflect more on my own purpose, and then I realized that there had to be more to my own journey than simply adventure and filmmaking. There needed to be a deeper purpose, but I just didn't know what that purpose was. There was no clarity. Little did I know that the reason for my trip would soon become so clear to me so fast. Towards the middle of the pilgrimage, thousands of miles away in the Philippines, I heard that my mother Victoria was rushed to the hospital. Complications from pneumonia left her in critical condition. I remember quite vividly, it was the 9th day of the journey. It was a beautiful day. The blue sky was clear, but the weather was extremely hot and humid. The hike uphill was very long and slow. I went from one shaded tree to another to get through the day. I felt more physically exhausted than usual. Mentally, I was tired, as I thought about my mother's condition. The highest point of the Camino is called the Cruz de Hierro. It's nearly 1,500 meters above sea level. Pilgrims climb to the Iron Cross, which is one of the most difficult parts of the Camino. When pilgrims finally arrive at the Iron Cross, it's a tradition for them to leave a stone symbolizing their cleansing through the Camino. While some choose to leave other relics like toys or clothing, I opted to write and leave a note in honor of my mother. At that point, I had an epiphany. The true purpose of the pilgrimage became crystal clear to me. It was no longer about making a documentary or needing adventure. It was deeper than that. It was about my mother's journey. At that moment, I was overcome with a strong feeling, a feeling that it was my mother who was taking the pilgrimage and that I was compelled to complete it on her behalf. From that day on, I felt her presence very strongly. Her energy gave me energy, thousands and thousands of miles away. But that's how she always was, a source of endless energy and strength for anyone blessed to know her. Relief, pride, and huge sense of accomplishment washed over me as I completed the journey. But at the same time, I was overcome with grief when I heard that my mother passed away. An hour before her passing, I received an urgent message from my niece that my mother's health condition was declining. I immediately set up a video call and spoke to my mother. Nothing is more difficult than saying goodbye to a loved one, especially to a mother whom I love dearly. But a feeling of comfort and relief came over me, knowing that she lived a good life. The next day, I flew to the Philippines to attend my mother's funeral. My mother, Victoria, was a very simple and down-to-earth woman, but she was unbelievably strong and smart. She gave birth to 10 children who became her number one priority. She was adored and respected by countless people who still fill the void that she left in our hearts. At the funeral, seeing all the people who loved my mother comforted me and lifted my heart. Hearing their stories of how my mother touched their hearts was cathartic. Suddenly, it occurred to me that I wasn't attending a burial, but a joyous celebration of her life. And that made so much sense to me. That's exactly how my mother led her life, celebrating it every step of the way, no matter what the struggle. To me, the Camino had a big impact on how I view life and the way I choose to lead it. Ultimately, the trek wasn't about completing a challenge. It became a reason to celebrate life, love, and even loss. In the end, some thoughts remain with me long after completing the Camino. The Camino does not discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what color your skin is. Each of us is on a personal journey. For some, the roads are clearly marked. For others, there is no end to the foggy haze. But all pilgrims on the journey are united in their quest to complete the challenge of the Camino, to laugh, to cry, to think, for adventure, for faith, for silence.